Texas, Oklahoma this Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. local time kickoff. We're going to be right there on the field for this one. The current number, now Jesse and I were talking earlier today, the current number, we had 2.5, okay? But then it moved. And so then we had Oklahoma minus 3.5. So that's where the current number rests. I'm going to show you what our model thinks. I'm going to tell you what we think about the game. But let's talk about this first off. We're at the halfway point of the season. Really, week 6 marks the halfway point of the season. But yet you're still early enough in a season where you don't really know what a team's peaking point is. What their maximum potential is, in other words. Now, with Texas, you've had some wild swings. You had them lose outright to Arkansas. You had them just blow the doors off Texas Tech, and so you've seen a lot of variance, just like a roller coaster ride, wild fluctuation. With Oklahoma, at least for the last 3 weeks, it's been a lot more consistent a result, but when you think about it, they won 23-16 against Nebraska, 16-13 against West Virginia, 37-31, little backdoor cover there for Kansas State, and they've been more consistent, but there's always this fear. And I think there's a fear in the back of a lot of Texas Longhorn fans' minds right now, or anyone who's going to bet Texas, and that is we've probably seen Texas peaking. I mean, that Texas Tech game, they were on fire. I don't know that I've seen Oklahoma peak. Now, the follow-up question, and the one we're about to dive into, is that game out there for them? I tend to believe yes. I don't think you can have a roster like Oklahoma has and you never peak. So you have that knowledge in the back of your mind. And the more you love Texas this weekend, if you do, the more that whisper is louder and louder in the back of your mind of telling you, hey, you know that game's out there. You know eventually they're going to click. You just hope it's not against you. I think Spencer Rattler's the most important player in this game. You could make the argument for Bijan Robinson. I'm about to talk about Robinson, but I think Spencer Rattler's the most important player in the game, and that is, of course, the Oklahoma quarterback, because I think Texas can win with decent to pretty good numbers from Casey Thompson. I do not think Oklahoma can win with just decent to pretty good numbers for Spencer Rattler. I don't think the running game, while it's not porous, is going to be there to the degree Oklahoma is going to need it to be to win if Spencer Rattler's not on. So B-plus performance for him relative to his capability level is the minimum baseline that I need here from him. But if you go back and you rewatch their game against Kansas State last Saturday, I thought Spencer Rattler not only played very well, I don't think he got enough credit for the way he played. Now, Oklahoma wasn't terrible running the ball, but Spencer Rattler was asked to do a lot, and he did a lot in that game. As it turns out, they needed every one of those 37 points, and he got it done. So the question now as we move forward to the Texas game, for me, is going to be how many explosive plays are there? And if the answer is not a whole lot, then the follow-up, which would make me a little more concerned, is can I count on Spencer Rattler? In a game he got benched in 1 year ago, remember, I think that's probably going to be over-discussed this week, but it did happen. Can I count on him to put together enough methodical 9 to 12 or 13 play drives to put enough points on the board to win the game? And if you could tell me how many points are going to be needed, I'd appreciate that too. Here's where I really like Texas. I'm going to show you what the model thinks in a second, but here's where I really like Texas. Whereas Rattler may be the most important player in the game, I think Bijan Robinson, the running back for Texas, is the best player in the game. I am not going to go the Gary Patterson route and tell you he was irresponsibly handled last week. I think those 35 carries were warranted. But I will also tell you, I would worry normally in this spot for Texas about them being able to trade points and them being able to keep up. I don't know if that's going to be the kind of game. I'm not telling you 16-13 is in the cards, but I'm telling you, I think with the presence of a guy like Bijan Robinson at running back, and also knowing that you can extend drives with him and you can win third downs, but also how effective he is out of the backfield catching the ball, and with the knowledge that last week Deuce Vaughn, I think he had 10 catches for 104 yards. In fact, Deuce Vaughn, who is the running back for Kansas State, was their leading receiver last week. So if they were able to do that, I believe Bijan Robinson is going to have a fair amount of success in this game. If you want to know what you should expect from him just the rest of the season, it's Najee Harris. That's exactly how Steve Sarkisian evolved the role of Najee Harris last year. So, Jesse, we're very excited to be at this game. Let's take a look at what the model thinks about it. And right now, as we showed you, and you've seen on the lower third, the current number is Oklahoma minus 3.5. Now, here's what's interesting. The model not only disagrees with the number, our model actually thinks the wrong team's favored. Our model has Texas minus 1. And so the more I thought about what I can count on in the game, the more I can't stop coming back to the running aspect of it. And the more I can't stop coming back to one like feature bell cow back. Kennedy Brooks is not a bad running back. But man, when I know I've got Bijan Robinson there, and when I know it's a third down game, and when I know that I can count on him and I don't have to ask Casey Thompson to win the game, even though he's capable of it, to win the game for me, I look at the consistency that I think Texas can have on the ground, and I do think it gives them the edge. And it's not so much drawing off what I've seen recently. Like I don't always believe in, ooh man, throw the records out the window for this rivalry game. Any given team, any given year. I don't always believe in that. In this one, I do. This is actually the way the Red River Shootout plays out. So independent of what we've seen so far, but also helpfully drawing off of what we've seen so far, I'm not only going to take Texas to cover, I'm going to also take them to win the game. Very close, one possession either way. This is not an overly confident take it to the bank type pick, but I do slightly lean Texas. So we'll take the Horns to cover and we'll take the Horns to win.